Aloha! Hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii and 365 Hawaii team at Real Broker. And I'm here today with
Amber Haley with Real Broker as well, coming to you from East Hawaii.
Actually coming from West Hawaii.
I came from East Hawaii.
But our weather today is a lot like East Hawaii.
Yeah, it's cold.
Or maybe Alaska. But it's actually pretty chilly today.
What do you think it is, like 68 degrees?
Yeah, I know, right? A snow flurry might start at any minute.
I almost wore a sweater.
I know, actually, it is chilly enough to wear a sweater. So what we're doing today is two things. One, Amber is going to give the statistics and the trend report for East Hawaii housing market. And we're also going to have a little chat around the new legislation around the transient accommodation rentals, which used to be the STVR, which is short-term vacation rentals. So if you are thinking about buying a home that has a short-term vacation rental, or you are trying to sell a house that actually has an STVR, you're going to want to listen to what we're telling you. We don't know the final outcome of this bill yet. However, we want to talk to you a little bit about what can happen if it actually passes. So why don't we start with what is going on in the housing market in East Hawaii?
Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of the main districts where all the real estate transactions, for the most part, happen over on the east side. So we have the South Hilo District, and there were, there's less sales in South Hilo than the Puna District. That's the other one that we will talk about. But it is a very popular district for real estate. So we'll start with some of the market stats with South Hilo. There were 16 single-family homes that sold in the month of January. This year, 2024, I can't believe it still. And let's talk about median price. So South Hilo, it is $497,000. That's a median price for a single family home. Also interesting, the average days on market for January were only 38 days.
Oh.
Yes, which is actually a little bit more than the month before, where it was 36, but way down from where it was a year ago, which is 77 days on the market, January 2023.
Wow. And that's when the market started to really slow down.
Yeah.
In 2023. And then people started thinking, interest rates are dropping. Let's get into the market again. So that's pretty good. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. So the median home value is $497,000. So the month before, so December of 2023, it was $478,950. So it's up a little bit from December. Mm-hmm. And then when we look back a year ago, the median value was sitting at $552,500. So down a little bit from a year ago.
Okay.
But we're only talking about 16 single-family homes that sold. A year ago it was 22, so less sales than 2023. So that's kind of interesting as well. Mm-hmm. Now, what most people really just want to know with these updates is, about what you need to pay, how much you get, maybe if you're selling your house, and how long it takes for a home to sell, and how close you might need to make an offer to the list price, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. In Hilo, the final list to sold price was 94.12% in January. So just under 6% below list price on average. Mm-hmm. And that is just about the same as where it's been. So not a lot of changes with list to sales price. So we're not seeing a lot of things, at least on average, selling above list price.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit below.
Well, 6%. I can't do the math in my head right now. Maybe our wonderful cameraman, Eric Ziemelis, can do. What is 6% of 475?
Oh, fast math. 497 to 6% of $497,000.
And that way you can see kind of what you might get off your median price of a house in Hilo. Because for a long time, Hilo was running almost at 100%. So I'm just going to be just kind of a jokester here and say, there's a sale going on Hilo homes.
6% off.
$30,000.
$30,000.
$30,000 off a price of house that you might see listed in Hilo. That's a pretty good negotiating chunk right there.
Yeah,
from your $30,000.
Your median home value. That's a fun way to look at it.
Yeah, right? You say, you know what? That's the price. Well, I want to offer you $30,000 under that. And they say, sure, why not?
After Christmas sale, Valentine's Day sale. Big Island is for lovers.
Come get your house in Hilo.
There we go. I like it. That's some clever marketing there. Okay, so let's talk about the Puna District now. Okay. So Puna is just south of the South Hilo District. And
it's a cooking market, right?
It's such a hot market. Yeah. Everybody's moving to Puna or already lives in Puna. All the cool people do, really.
All the cool people. In fact, it was like on like the Wall Street Journal.
Was it?
Yeah, there was an article that said like it doesn't get any hotter than the housing market on the lava field on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Oh, you're gonna have to send that to me.
I'm gonna have to because they said it was one of the hottest housing markets in the whole country.
Literally. Yeah, I mean, in fact, the volcano was shaking a lot over the last couple weeks over there at Kilauea. Yeah. But then I think I just heard something today that the activity or the lava is moving in such a manner that it's not looking like maybe an eruption right now.
Okay.
But the thing about the Puna District is it is located on one of the world's most active volcanoes, so that does affect things. It's literally the hottest real estate market, and figuratively. There are a lot of sales in Puna. Let's just talk about that for a minute. There were 72 single-family homes that sold in Puna compared to Hilo, where there were 16.
There you go.
South Hilo, technically, for being really, really technical. Mm-hmm. There's also a North Hilo district. We don't often group in those stats because it's usually just a handful of sales, and it's kind of like one-off to, like, sometimes it'll be a single-family home, sometimes it'll be a large, sprawling farm estate, so the stats will kind of throw it off a little bit. So we don't throw those in as much. But Puna, 72 single-family homes sold, and you're not going to believe this, the median value was $347,500.
There's a reason why 77 homes sold there last month. But that's a pretty good median price of a home. But we also talk about the fact that there's homes that also sell for 700, but some sell for like 175, and they're like little unpermitted structures in Puna.
Yes. That is the thing about Puna. We have all kinds of different real estate. We have 3 different lava zones that it spans across. 2 of the most risky lava zones, 1 and 2. So land and real estate is just not as valuable. It is harder to get homeowners insurance and financing. Mm-hmm. And yes, we have this issue all over the county, but we see it a lot in the Puna District, where you will come across properties that are lacking county permits and different things like that. So, for example, in Hawaiian Paradise Park, the lowest listed property right now, I believe, is sitting just under $200,000, and it is completely unpermitted. Oh, okay. There are even some beautiful listings that you might see on, like, if you like to shop on, like, Zillow or Redfin or one of those MLS feeds on the internet, that you'll see like a pretty beautiful home for $450,000. I had some clients looking at some of that stuff this week. Yeah. Completely unpermitted. Oh. Even $450,000, which is above our median value. Yeah. There's some beautiful properties, but no county permit. So I always advise, if you're just house hunting at home and browsing, especially the Puna District in East Hawaii of the Big Island, that you talk to a realtor who maybe can guide you a little bit more, because it's easy to miss those things about the property. And sometimes you even see property that is higher than the median value price that does lack county permit or isn't a riskier lava zone.
If you find a house and say, I can't believe how cheap that house is, there's probably a reason why.
Yes, there's always a reason why, you know? Yeah. That's the way life works, unfortunately.
Yeah, lava zones, permitting, and insurance issues, which we also discuss soon, because we also just found out that the insurance commissioner just did a speech over in Maui to the realtors, and higher insurance costs are coming.
Oh, yes. I mean, we did kind of all expect that.
Yeah, I know.
But we talked about it.
The Maui fires have really made insurance companies look at Hawaii a little bit with more of a, so we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we have a lot of elements here that affect real estate. And, the Maui fires was an awful tragedy, affects real estate in a lot of different ways. Right. So we will be seeing the ripple effects of that.
Yeah. Even though I will say, I don't think I've ever heard of a wildfire in Puna District.
Yeah, Puna is not, I don't think, as prone to it. We do get, it is the wet side. We do get a lot of rain.
Yeah. But you're not getting fires.
No, fires I hear more over, Waikoloa, Kohala, where windy, dry climate is. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, Maui. They hear a lot of drought conditions.
They should look at, your part of the island is like, okay, let's leave them alone. They have enough problems. As your house burns because of a lava flow.
We do have lava. Yes, we do have other kinds of fire.
Yeah, there's always something going on in this island.
There is something. It's always exciting in the state of Hawaii. Okay, so there were 72 single-family homes in the Puna District, only $347,500. That feels like a surprising stat to me, and I live and breathe in Puna. Okay, so average days on market was 57. Okay. That is, we're fairly similar to where we've been sitting at. I mean, the month before it was 43. The year before it was 53. So, that's like, in the ballpark of what we kind of see in the Puna District for a single family home. The listed sales price is very similar to the South Hilo District, 94%. So you're getting your, it's less of a sale because the median value is down. Do we have fast math on this?
Fast math.
$347,500 home at 6% off for your Valentine's Day sale.
And also, I'd like to believe, okay, I've been watching these. Because I've seen some houses here in West Hawaii, they're getting off the market in 5 days. If the house is sitting there for 57 days, people are going to probably say it's time to like offer them a discount.
Yeah, $20,000, almost $21,000.
Yeah, $21,000 off.
What can you buy with $21,000? Can you buy anything?
Yeah, you can buy a whole new house of carpeting.
Oh, you can buy carpet.
Yeah,
who wants carpet in Hawaii?
I do.
Oh yeah, you do. Yes, that's true. Okay, so that's your sale in the Puna District. 94% listed sales price. That's just something that everybody wants to know. Whether you're buying or selling, you want to know how close do you need to offer. What can you price your home at?
Right.
So if we look at the month before the trend, it is $392,500. That's what we were looking at for December 2023 median values. So for whatever reason, the month of January we saw a dip in that. It was a pretty big dip. And the listed sales price in December was very close, though. It was 93.97%, so basically 94% listed sales price. Now let's look back at a year ago. So now we're talking January 2023 sales. The median price for a home in Puna was only $325,000. So it's better than a year ago, down a little bit from December. You know, we got these little dips in our stats. Average days on market again, 53 a year ago. And the listed sales price a year ago in January, that's when the market was slowing, 92.48%.
That's
so
really
even a little bit more of a sale a year ago.
So do you, because you're listening to, you're getting some phone calls from buyers. Are they trying to beat the rush when the interest rates go down?
Oh yes, I feel like I felt the effect of the interest rates. I feel like people even started kind of jumping back in the Puna District, from what I've noticed, and I've heard other markets across the country too. A little bit early, like people, I usually expected them to still kind of be on vacation from the holidays, and they were kind of jumping in a little early when the rates started dropping. So I think that is a trend that will continue. People who have been waiting. Especially there's a certain group of buyers that don't have to buy at a certain time. It's not the majority of them, but they are just kind of like, when it works out.
Yeah, when it works out.
Those ones who, are like, well, we will buy. And those ones seem to be the ones that I'm getting, at least.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a couple of people who are like, I'm thinking summer. Because what people are saying is that by June, the Fed is definitely going to lower the rates.
Yeah,
they might lower the rates in March. They're supposed to lower them definitely by June. And people are thinking about getting jobs here. And they have kids. They're waiting for the summer to like move in because of the kids. And they've got the thing. So the people, we always say this, you guys, when those rates fall, and especially if they drop a point below, there is going to be a sale on housing. Right? Because then people are going to come and say, you know what, I'm going to go in here and make it happen. So making sure that you guys get those pre-approvals.
Yeah.
It's important. That way we figure out your financing. So that way if you do see a deal and it is, something that you can go in and make a negotiation with a seller on, you want to be in the position to be able to make it happen.
Honestly, if I was buying a house right now, I would, and even if my timeline wasn't until summer or even later than summer, it is not too early to talk to a lender. Talk to a lender, especially because you heard us talk about all those nuances with East Hawaii property. There are a lot of different types of loans. If you've never bought a house before, there are different types of loan programs. You have VA loans, you have FHA, you have USDA even, which might be a loan that a lot of people have never heard of. I started my career in real estate in the state of California. I never saw a USDA loan because no real estate really qualified. So that might be one you're completely unfamiliar with. There's different types of loans, and not every property is going to qualify for every loan. Or if it does, the lender might have to structure the loan differently. So there might be different things that you need to do, maybe like a down payment difference, or you need a certain credit score, or whatever it may be. It's so unique to each individual. It's never too early to reach out. You don't want to be sitting at home looking at all of this property in Lava Zone 2, falling in love with it, and then finding out your loan program or the amount of down payment that you have, or what the end of the day your monthly payment is going to be just can't include that higher insurance in it. There's all these different factors. So talk to them now, get that done. And then also, especially if you're sitting at home and maybe you're coming from the mainland all the way across an ocean to come scout, once you're here, you might fall in love with something and find something. You want to be ready.
Right. And you know what, interesting. We just sat down with one of our title and escrow officers for a video that we're going to release hopefully by tomorrow. And she was talking about how it is important to know that if you come here and then all of a sudden you go, I love that house, and I'm going to put a initial deposit, like a earnest money deposit, that sometimes your bank will not let you take out thousands of dollars from there. They actually sometimes will make you stand in front of them at your bank on the mainland to be able to transfer thousands of dollars. And the deposit for a lot of these houses could be like $20,000.
Yeah.
And if they only let you take out $5,000 every like 4 days or whatever, you're never going to get it there on time. So making sure that you know the rules before you decide to jump out and decide, once I get there, maybe I'll buy a house or something. Sometimes, as my friend Lance used to say, most people don't carry their checkbooks with them when they travel. And knowing how to get the finances switched over during that time frame is important.
Yeah, it is really important. So you can never be too prepared. I know people, the thing I hear a lot, the pushback on that a lot is like, I don't want the credit inquiry or this or that. Just express whatever your concerns are to the lender. They'll probably work with you and at least get you some idea of what type of property that you can buy. Or you might find out that you might not be able to buy a house right now. And that, if I was me and I was changing my whole life around to move to Hawaii and buy a house, potentially, I would want to know that sooner than later.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because we've had people say, I'm going to buy this 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. I'm like, okay, so what's your price range? And they go, 500. I'm like, not in West Hawaii, but that's what the job is. I just accepted. I'm like, it's not going to work out. I'm sorry. How about a condo? And then condos are going for like $550. Yeah. So knowing what you can afford and look at the what's happening with the market right now versus what you can afford and what is actually available to you is going to be important. Like another person, this is a story. This person said, well, I need a piece of land, an acre, and I'm going to have a house on it with I want to run an Airbnb on it, and I want to have kind of like a bed and breakfast experience and the whole thing, and it's under $1 million or whatever, and it has between here and here, and we're like, okay, that's a big dream that you have, yes. And I'm glad that you're calling us ahead of time. But that is a dream because of all the different things with zoning, with the fact that there's the new TAR bill coming into play, with what's really available for that price range. I don't like shooting people's dreams down, but at least telling them the truth now until when they get here and figure out it's not going to work. It's important. And with another guy who said I want a $175,000 house in Puna because that's all he has. He's like, I want to retire to the island and I don't want a mortgage payment. I'm like, be careful what's available for $175 because you might be sitting with unpermitted housing. Yeah,
I can almost guarantee you will be at $175 in Puna even. And that's, the sales like that are also all cash. So some people have that, but a lot of people don't. So if you're thinking you can buy that property. Another thing that I get a lot and I've been seeing a lot and just had happen is people sending me raw land parcels that they can maybe, they in their mind they can afford because maybe it's a $400,000 piece of land in Hilo and they have $100,000 cash. But you can't just go get a mortgage on a raw parcel of land too.
Just so you guys know that too.
Yeah,
a lot won't lend on
a lot of people don't realize that. You have to, I'm not saying you can't finance land, but you can't get a traditional mortgage. The closest thing I've ever seen to a traditional mortgage is through this special ag financing thing, but only certain properties qualify. So you usually have to go more creative means to finance that. It's not like getting a mortgage at all. So these are all things that if you don't know, you don't know. So reach out to the lending earlier. I know money stuff is it's not the funnest thing for a lot of people.
Real estate doesn't happen until the money starts it off. Again, if that's cash or if it's a mortgage. But also a lot of mortgage companies also don't lend on land. But there is a company here, I think it's a credit union, that does
there are some credit unions that do land financing. Yeah. But your terms, the only closest thing I've seen again is the ag financing to a traditional mortgage. Like the land financing usually that I hear of is terms much shorter, like maybe 3 to 5 years, huge down payment, much higher interest rate, and a lot of times you can't do anything with the land until you have it paid off. So if you're thinking you can finance land and build a house, maybe hypothetically you could, but you really shouldn't because if you
they call the note.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So and then there's other creative things like seller financing or taking out an equity line of credit on another piece of real estate or different things you can do, but you can't go get a traditional mortgage.
There you go. There you go. Because also, you know what, though, like, we're trying to figure out how to get, like, a student loan for my son, is that if you don't have anything that the bank is going to hold on to, it's hard to get the old loan there.
Yeah. Like, there are some certain, like, special government-backed programs and things like that that they will subsidize to take on that risk. But normally, yes, they need something as collateral.
Right. And a piece of unscrubbed land in East Hawaii might not be enough.
Yeah, it's not enough for that raw land.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so this is the other thing that we have been talking a lot about on Big Island is short-term rentals and just everything with the county, right? Like, there's a lot of unregulated things, but the county really has made it clear they want to go in the direction of regulating things, have things being permitted, and then we have this whole transient accommodations.
Right. And so what's happened, you guys, for background, is the fact that you might be aware that housing is a premium that's not being built very readily here on this island, and the entire state is going through basically a housing crisis.
Yes.
And Airbnb did not help that problem. So having people come in and do short-term vacation rentals, they took those houses that might have been used for long-term rentals and took that right off the market for long-term rentals. And because investors came in and used those houses for investment, basically sticking, Airbnb people in there, people who could have afforded that house were unable to compete for that house because the investor knew that they were going to put a short-term vacation rental in there and get $5,000 a month instead of the normal $2,500 a month if it just been rented full-time.
Yes.
So our county
described a very complex problem. Right?
There you go. Yeah. So it's money. Here we go with the money.
Yes.
So what the county has done, because I work with a variety of different housing elements in this county, the county is not in a position to build a bunch of affordable housing. There's not. And also the land that is still available for affordable housing is not always zoned multifamily, the whole thing.
It's such an uphill battle, the affordable housing projects.
It is, there's two things that can't be solved very easily. And one is homelessness and the other one is affordable housing. So what the county has decided to do is let's roll back the years to 15, when Airbnb first started showing up on this island. And if we can put the genie back in the bottle, maybe it will go away and not be a crisis any further. And so the realtors on the island are saying, well, that's not fair to private property rights. Because once you buy a piece of property, you should be able to do what you want with it. However, society says that's not always the case. So the county, being society, is saying if we don't let everybody have short-term vacation rentals, one of two things are going to happen. One, we're going to tell them that now you have to have a 6-month rental.
Yeah, right? 6 months is...
Right. Or you'll sell your house. Because if you need $5,000 a month to make sure that you can afford to live here, and you can no longer get that from your short-term vacation rental, maybe you can't afford to have that house. Then it'll go back on the market, and they'll go to somebody who maybe can afford to have a house where they offer a 6-month rentals at a shot, and then they can actually get into the market. And so that's why I think they're going to solve the housing crisis.
Wow.
And then on top of that, just so you know, there's another little, they give you a little something when they take something away from you. They have been very difficult to try and say, okay, let's build accessory dwelling units, which are basically ohana units.
Yes.
They didn't want all these little extra houses all over the place. So the thing that they're doing is they want to pass the short-term vacation rental experience so that then you do not go and build an ADU in the back of your house and turn it into a short-term vacation rental. So by taking out all the short-term vacation rentals in neighborhoods, and you have to have at least a 6-month rental, which is 180 days, then when you build your ADU in the back of your house, you know ahead of time that you can't rent it out for more than 6 months. So you'll figure out the math in terms of what you can bring in terms of rental income as you're building that ADU unit. That way you're not getting all excited that now you're going to send that thing off for $5,000 a month and end up with a cash cow in the back of your yard, right?
Yeah.
And they also want to make sure that people understand when they build the ADU units that there's off-street parking and there's a way to fix the wastewater treatment experience. So making sure that you put a septic tank in.
Ooh.
So if you are on, let's say, ag land, and you think this is a great idea, then you actually have to build the septic, which could cost $20,000 or $30,000, right? And then you get the permit to get the ADU in there, and then you're set. Really? And then you can have, they said any family members can stay forever as long as it works. But if you're going to rent it out, you have to be able to rent it out for at least 6 months. And if they catch you, it's $10,000 a day.
Wow. Yeah.
So
this is some different legislation that has been in different draft forms, and we
for
might
a while.
see.
Yeah, and so
potentially this year.
Right, it could be happening this year. So they have asked for public testimony. A bunch of people went in there and they publicly testified, and 2 people said you should go ahead just the way you have it, county. And everyone else said, no, you shouldn't. And the county basically is like this: thank you for your input. We're going to continue on with this bill. And so they are supposedly tweaking it. But what we've seen in the past is the fact that the county will do whatever the county wants.
Yeah.
And the overall goal of the county is to create affordable housing where they don't actually have to build it themselves.
Yeah, so this is going to drastically affect a lot of people. There are a lot of people on this island who have short-term vacation rentals. So the way that it works right now, in case you folks don't know, is their short-term rentals are allowed in certain zones. Right? And you do register them. There are some that are grandfathered into having unhosted short-term vacation rentals right now that are located outside of those zones. You can't go do that now at new, but if you purchase a property that had an active valid permit, that can transfer with ownership. So there are some of those. And then as of right now, you can host a short-term vacation rental. So a host means like you are living there, or you have a caretaker living there on site. So the situation we have right now, it could very, very drastically change. And that affects, I just know, like almost everyone I know, I feel like has
some level of a vacation rental.
Some level, or, somebody in their family does, or something of a hosted Airbnb.
Yeah, because you know what? It's a great way to make money.
Yeah.
And also with East Hawaii not having many hotels at all.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of that resort zoning hardly at all. Mm-hmm. Hardly at all.
And interestingly enough, I haven't told you this yet. When I was in Oahu, I actually met a guy that is going to be redeveloping the entire Hilo bayfront.
Oh, interesting.
And so when you don't have as many hotels, somebody who comes in and builds new lodging, that was a good investment. Mm-hmm. Because, you know what, we were talking about HPP. There's a lot of people who buy houses in HPP who use them as vacation rentals. Mm-hmm. So people can be closer to Volcanoes National Park and just get a chance to get a flavor of the island in a different place besides West Hawaii and get out of a hotel. Mm-hmm. This is going to change that.
Yeah, so this is something that we're going to keep an eye on, and we'll try and keep you updated.
Yeah.
But we, if you're going to ask us what's going to happen, we can't tell you for sure because we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what the final draft will be. We don't know if it'll for sure pass.
But keeping an eye on that, because if you are looking at this video, and I of course want you guys to use, Amber and me and Eric, but it's a question that you must ask your realtor. If you're just thinking about buying a house on this whole island, and you're thinking about buying a house because you want investment income, you must ask your realtor if they know about this and where they are in terms of legislation.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have an impact at some level or another. This isn't going to just go away. Yeah. Something is going to happen. So just be smart, and that's why we're giving you guys this information. It needs to be discussed with somebody before you go ahead and buy that house.
This will impact everybody, whether you have a vacation rental or not. This will impact the whole island.
Yeah.
Jim C says 6 months seems like a long time. Plenty of professionals come to Hawaii on a shorter contract.
I know.
Yes,
Hi, Jim. So get this. So we have a cottage that we rent out 3 months at a shot to traveling nurses. And so Furnish Finder kind of like specializes into this like longish termish experience where people who come to work for 3 months at a shop will go to Furnish Finders and they'll find a place. So like what Eric and I have with our cottage, we don't have to have an Airbnb where we're constantly doing this.
Yeah.
But we don't have to have a roommate of 180 days.
Yeah.
So it works really well. And so when they cut this out, what's going to happen to all the medical professionals that usually use a 3 month experience coming to working in our hospitals?
Yeah. So
that's something to consider.
Keep giving the county feedback. There is a website. Maybe you guys can link in the video with more information for everybody who wants to follow along, and you can see the latest drafts and all of that. But this will be interesting. Yeah. And it will affect our job.
Right, exactly.
It is but it will. Yeah.
And again, I do believe that sadly, I think part of our society is falling apart because people can't come here and get decent priced rentals because it is so expensive because they're being used for short-term rentals. And when I used to work in the Bay Area, they were always like crying. This was 20 years ago. Who is going to service our coffee at Starbucks if we price everybody out of the market? Well, this has also turned into, and who's going to teach our children? And who are going to fix our roads? And who's going to do this and that? And on top of that, we still love the culture of Hawaii. If the Hawaiians can't stay here, we've lost a whole level of why people love Hawaii. So what they're trying to do is figure out any way that they can do to try and change the tide of what's happening on our island in terms of housing. Yeah.
I mean, affordable housing is definitely an issue. The way to correct it and fix it is not going to be easy, no matter how you slice it.
Right.
It's not
And so realtors
it's going to have impact.
Yeah, and the realtors across the state are definitely looking out for private property rights and what people can and can't do in their own home. And one of the things that was on the original bill also was that you cannot, because Eric and I, again, we have an Ohana and we have the house on top, that we sometimes thought, well, if we wanted to go travel, we could live in the Ohana and rent out the house on top. And they're saying you can't do that. Wow. And so it's like, and here we go, like, don't tell me what I can do in my own home. But they are definitely trying to like say, okay, and like you have to register your rentals. And if you have your registered rentals, then you have to tell them how much money you're making from the rentals. And they're going to make you put a sign in front of your house to show it's a rental. And it goes on. And so they're trying to make it so that at least somebody's more like, they call it egregious, trounces on private property rights is being addressed by the county to have them like, let's think about that. Do we really need a sign out in front of somebody's house to say that there's a rental there? Because you know what that also says? Hey, look, maybe the owner's not home. Why don't you break into this house? So, and also these $10,000 a day fines. And then that's what that they said too. Who's going to go out there and like look for all this stuff? And how's that going to be funded? And they go, well, there's $10,000 fines. So,
yeah, that's steep too. A day. Not a one time.
They don't want people messing around. So, so like I said, we'll put the link in the information below, and you guys check in. This thing is going to progress. I think they're supposed to have an answer at least by June. So there you go.
Jim says again, who's going to work at the hospitals? Is kind of what the other one. If there's only 3-month people that have that will get full-time people to work at the hospitals.
Maybe the hospitals will have to change the way that they structure those 3-month return things.
It's going to affect so much, so many things, home prices, everything. It's going to affect everything.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I would think that the hospitals would be like trying to like do something with this legislation as well.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that people know about it too. Yeah. Sometimes stuff happens with the county. I don't know if residents know or are paying attention or the news is getting out there. It is just so spread the word. Yeah.
And if I can mention something, I'm creating a new not-for-profit. It's called the 365 Hawaii Island Community Fund. And one of the things I'm doing is gathering volunteers to be able to use human capital to help other nonprofits and do things in the community. But also, I'm going to be using it as a way to disseminate valuable information that residents need to know about issues affecting our island. So that way, if they try and pass these different bills and stuff like that, whoever's like in this group, like we're going to have basically kind of like almost like an email distribution list that you'll get alerts about what volunteer opportunities are showing up, but also about things that you need to know about because the county's about to, either reach into your pocket or cut off your freedoms, whatever. And I'm not like, oh my God, that damn county. There's things too that they're working on to try and like clean up our water. I totally get it. But being informed is really important.
Yeah.
So that's what we do here.
Stay in the know.
Right. Stay in the know.
So Jess has a question. She says, what if the property is a retreat with sleep accommodations that is considered ADU?
These are good questions.
Yeah. So one thing I heard, and I have to look they said something about abolishing bed and breakfasts altogether.
Yeah, there is some stuff about bed and breakfasts, or at least like not it being classified as or something.
Yeah, because before I thought they were going to have their own businesses as bed and breakfasts and there's Airbnbs. They did not mention the word retreat center in terms of doing that because, but that would be a good one because there are a variety of people who are trying to do different kinds of retreat centers on the island. And they offer, again, another valuable economic development possibility as people like bring people in from off island, do these different retreats. And if you have to do 6-month rentals, that's not going to work.
I mean, do we want the hotels to take over too? I mean, people are going to have to just...
Well, the sad thing about retreats is that, it's like the joy in a retreat is not sitting in your own hotel room.
Yeah, and the hotel pricing, like who's regulating that?
Well, I know, right? That's called capitalism.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to know. And if I find out where I could actually ask that question, I'll get that answer and pop that out there too, because people buy land because they want to do retreats. So we'll see.
Is there other questions?
Nope.
No. Okay. So with that, I think we're gonna wrap this up. And you guys, we are having the TT&T, I think on the 18th.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so that's our island-wide update with Lance and 4 other realtors, including Amber and myself and Eric and our mortgage partner. So if you want to do that, that is going to be on a Zoom link. So I will, if you're on the Facebook group, I dropped that Zoom link in there a few days prior to that meeting. And if you are over in Hawaii, on YouTube, and you want to be part of our Ohana and be part of that, go to 365hawaiiliving.com and join the Ohana. And we ask people who join the Ohana, please not be working with other realtors, because we are all volunteering our time here when we offer this information to you, and obviously we're trying to gain your business. So there you go. But then if you do that, then you get a chance to get into the private Facebook groups, you get access to my books. It's a beautiful day. So we will say,
it is kind of a beautiful day. I feel
is.
like it got more beautiful.
Warmer.
It got sunnier.
Yeah. And there's a whale right out there jumping around.
There we go.
So if you want to be part of the Hawaiian experience, join us and use one of us as realtors, because we really want to help you get to your dream of living here in Hawaii.
We appreciate you.
Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha.